Nobody teaches you this, but many people who destroy your life don't seem toxic. They seem helpful, correct, fair, sometimes even admirable. And that's precisely why it works. While you try to be ethical, transparent, and well-intentioned, certain people play an older, colder, and infinitely more effective game. Machiavelli warned us more than 500 years ago, politics guided by reality, not by ideals. Ignoring this doesn't make you virtuous, it makes you vulnerable. And perhaps you've already felt this firsthand when you helped too much, trusted too much, or spoke too much, and paid dearly for it later. Here's a statement that's unsettling but liberating. Most of the betrayals you've suffered weren't personal, they were strategic. Toxic people don't act out of immediate hatred, they act out of calculation. They exploit your empathy, your guilt, your need for approval. They use an appearance of virtue, false neutrality, high morals, or even disguised admiration to get close. The end justifies the means when the goal is control, position, or replacement. And while you're trying to be loved, they've already figured out that, in certain contexts, it's better to be feared than loved, as long as they know how to avoid being hated. In this video, you'll learn about the 7 types of toxic people Machiavelli warned about centuries ago, profiles that remain active today, at work, in family, friendships, and business. By identifying these patterns, you learn to act with calculated use of force, make decisions based on real human nature, and build your own loyal armies instead of becoming a pawn in someone else's game. It's not about becoming cruel, it's about ceasing to be naive. And when you see the pattern, you'll never fall for it the same way again. If something inside you awakened while listening, don't ignore that feeling. This channel isn't about videos, it's about memories. Remember who you were before the fear, before the exhaustion, before the silence. Each new video here is a different reflection of your own soul, an invitation to understand what the world never taught you. The power you seek outside has always been within you. If you feel that this journey speaks to what lives silently within you, sign up now. Not to follow yet another creator, but to reconnect with something the world tried to make you forget. Because here, every word was made to heal, each reflection to awaken, and each video serves as a reminder you are not alone on the path back to yourself. Click on subscribe and turn the algorithm into a daily reminder of who you really are. He never arrives asking for anything. On the contrary, he appears offering help when no one has asked, when it didn't even seem necessary. A favor here, a recommendation there, a let me handle it for you. At first glance, it seems like kindness, almost virtue. But those who look closely notice the pattern. Nothing is free. This type understands instinctively that politics guided by reality, not by ideals, works better than good intentions. He weaves an invisible web of emotional obligations because he knows that ordinary people feel guilty when they say no. It's the appearance of virtue in action, built calmly with an easy smile and morally correct discourse. Machiavelli already warned, whoever controls the debt controls the behavior. And here, the favor becomes currency. You start by accepting something small, and before you know it, you're avoiding contradicting him so as not to seem ungrateful. It's not friendship, it's social engineering. The end justifies the means, especially when the objective is silent control. And he does all this without raising suspicion because he deeply understands real human nature, not the idealized one. In practice, this happens at work, in the family, and even in long-standing friendships. It's the colleague who demands something from you once and then starts demanding blind loyalty. It's the relative who helps financially and then starts interfering in your entire life. It's the partner who comes in with support and then demands decisions based on their own interests. The weaver knows that decisions based on real human nature work better than written contracts. To protect yourself, the path is not rudeness or direct confrontation, it's clarity. Favors should be rare, specific, and, when possible, repaid quickly. Pay for the coffee, return the help, settle the debt. Machiavelli would say that avoiding being hated is important, but never at the cost of your autonomy. Those who build their own loyal armies don't become emotionally indebted to strangers. A good test is simple. Observe if the favor comes with a long memory. If the person never forgets what they did for you, the price is still being calculated. The most dangerous aspect is that this profile doesn't appear aggressive. It doesn't threaten, doesn't openly pressure, doesn't raise its voice. It uses calculated force in its most sophisticated form, psychological force. When you start to feel uncomfortable disagreeing, something has already gone off track. This is where constant adaptability comes in, learning to say no elegantly, to refuse unnecessary help, to maintain balanced relationships. Being polite is not the same as being manipulable. Better to be feared than loved doesn't mean brutality, but zero predictability for those trying to tie you down. Because when someone realizes you don't accept invisible debts, they change strategy or walk away. And curiously, it's at this point that a second, even more subtle type emerges, one that doesn't offer favors. It offers too many ears. This type doesn't invade, he invites. He doesn't interrogate, he listens. He doesn't accuse, he agrees. He presents himself as someone broken, vulnerable, almost naive. He tells a personal story, reveals a strategic weakness, lowers his guard first, or at least it seems that way. Everything is calculated. This is how the information spy operates, creating an emotionally safe environment so that you do the work for him. While you talk, he collects. While you vent, he catalogues. Machiavelli already understood that politics guided by reality, not by ideals, involves the control of information. And here, information is not brute power, it's future ammunition. He knows that people open up more when they feel empathy, and he uses the appearance of virtue as bait. Nothing you say is forgotten. Everything is saved for the right moment. The end justifies the means when the objective is strategic advantage. And, ironically, the more you believe you are connecting, the more exposed you become. This profile appears frequently in competitive environments, but also in intimate circles. It's the colleague who always asks, "How are you really doing?" It's the friend who encourages you to speak ill of someone. It's the acquaintance who creates intimacy too quickly. In practice, protection here is simple, but it requires emotional discipline. Sensitive information shouldn't be given away early. Strategic problems are solved in silence. Those who understand virtù and fortuna know that luck favors those who know when to speak, and especially when to remain silent. A useful exercise. Before sharing something personal, ask yourself if that information could be used against you in a future conflict. If the answer is maybe, keep it to yourself. It's not coldness, it's social intelligence. Decisions based on real human nature consider that not every listener is an ally. Building your own loyal armies begins by choosing who you open up to. The most sophisticated aspect of this type is that it rarely attacks directly. It waits. It uses calculated force over time, not impact. When a dispute arises, it casually brings up something you said months ago, an insecurity, a contradiction, a doubt, and it does so with an air of neutrality, almost as if helping. Herein lies the central lesson: better to be feared than loved. In this context, means being respected as someone discreet. Dangerous people don't talk too much. Naive people do. By reducing the flow of information, you completely alter the dynamic. The spy loses interest when there is no data, and curiously, when it can't extract anything, it begins to change its posture. sometimes distancing itself, sometimes creating noise. And it is precisely in this noise that a third profile appears, even heavier, which doesn't collect secrets. It transfers emotional chaos. This type of person doesn't enter your life quietly. They arrive in a collapse. There's always a crisis, an urgent drama, an impossible problem. Nothing is ever resolved. When one fire goes out, another starts. The architect of misfortune lives in chaos because they've learned that chaos attracts attention, care, and other people's energy. They feed on it. Machiavelli already warned that decisions based on real human nature require observing patterns, not speeches. And the pattern here is clear. Those who live permanently in crisis don't want to get out of it. The crisis is identity. They talk about bad luck, injustice, cruel fate, but completely ignore their own responsibility. They use the appearance of virtue of the eternal victim to avoid any real accountability. The end justifies the means when the goal is never to change. And you, without realizing it, become part of the structure that sustains this organized misfortune. In practice, this could be a friend, a relative, or even a work colleague. It's the person who always needs to talk, always just one more favor, always this is the last time. The problem isn't helping, it's always helping with the same problem. This is where the cold reading that Machiavelli advocated comes in. Politics guided by reality, not by ideals. If after advice, opportunities and support, nothing changes, the function of that relationship isn't evolution, it's draining. A simple exercise: observe if the conversations always revolve around the same pains. If so, you're not in an exchange, you're in a loop. Avoiding being hated doesn't mean sacrificing yourself emotionally. Sometimes the wisest attitude is to reduce availability, shorten conversations, and stop offering solutions. Those who want to change act. Those who want the spotlight repeat the story. The most dangerous aspect of this profile is contagion. Spending too much time with the architect of doom affects your worldview, your energy, and even your decisions. Without realizing it, you begin to normalize the heaviness, the slowness, the feeling of stagnation. Here, constant adaptability means knowing how to leave emotionally toxic environments before they become a habit. Better to be feared than loved in this case is to be respected as someone who doesn't indefinitely carry other people's problems. Strong people build their own loyal armies, not emotional refugee camps. When you stop sustaining the chaos, something curious happens. Some revolt, others disappear, and among those who remain, an even more silent type emerges. One who never creates crises, never disagrees, only reflects everything you say, like a mirror too dangerous to ignore. At first glance, he seems harmless. He agrees with everything, laughs at the same things, validates every opinion of yours as if it were absolute truth. There is no friction, no confrontation, no disagreement. And that's precisely where the danger lies. The mirror has no position of its own. It has extreme adaptation. It understands that, to stay close, it is enough to reflect. Machiavelli already taught that politics guided by reality, not by ideals, requires discerning who acts out of conviction and who acts out of convenience. This profile wears the appearance of the virtue of loyalty, but it sustains nothing when the wind changes. He doesn't disagree because he doesn't commit. The end justifies the means when the goal is to remain well-positioned, regardless of who is at the top. And while you think you have an ally, he is merely occupying space, observing, waiting for the best angle. In practice, the mirror emerges in environments where strong opinions generate risk. It's the colleague who always says, "That makes sense," without adding anything. It's the friend who agrees with you today and with your opponent tomorrow. It's the employee who never questions decisions, remembering that decisions based on real human nature show that the absence of conflict is not a sign of loyalty, it's a sign of calculation. A simple test exposes this type. Intentionally change your mind. Defend something today and the opposite tomorrow. The mirror will follow without hesitation. People with values disagree, question, and argue. Mirrors only reflect. And those who seek to build their own loyal armies need soldiers, not polished surfaces that change with the light. The biggest problem is that the mirror doesn't attack. It abandons itself at the critical moment. When pressure arises, it withdraws, falls silent, or changes sides. This is where the principle of being better feared than loved comes in. It's preferable to command respect with a clear stance than to be surrounded by empty agreement. Avoiding being hated doesn't mean avoiding opinions. It means avoiding inconsistency. The mirror thrives when you tolerate too much ambiguity. By demanding clarity, commitment, and a clear stance, it reveals its discomfort. And it's in this discomfort that you begin to see another, even more corrosive profile, the one that doesn't agree, doesn't mirror, but judges, corrects, and erodes your trust under the guise of high morals. He doesn't shout, doesn't curse, doesn't attack directly. On the contrary, he speaks softly in a mature tone, always in the name of good. His criticisms come wrapped in phrases like, "It's just an observation. I say this because I care. Someone needed to tell you that." And the moral assassin understands that politics guided by reality, not by ideals, involves eroding the other person's trust without appearing villainous. He sets impossible standards, changes the ruler according to convenience, and when you fail, because you always will, he points the finger. Not to help, but to diminish. He uses the appearance of virtue as a shield. High morals, correct discourse, impeccable posture. The end justifies the means when the goal is psychological superiority. And little by little, you begin to doubt yourself, while he strengthens his position as the silent judge. This type appears in environments where performance and image matter: work, family, intellectual circles. It's the boss who is never satisfied. It's the friend who expected more from you. It's the partner who turns everything into your fault. Decisions based on real human nature reveal the trick. Those who criticize without offering a path forward don't want evolution. They want control. A good practical filter is to observe whether the criticism is accompanied by an applicable example. If someone points out a mistake but can't show how they could do it better, that's just noise. Machiavelli taught that the calculated use of force is not open aggression, it's constant pressure. To protect yourself, establish clear limits. Ask for objectivity, ask for criteria, ask for solutions. The moral assassin gets lost when they need to move from abstraction to concrete reality. The most dangerous effect of this profile is internal. You start to police yourself excessively, to act out of fear of making mistakes, to seek impossible approval. Here, virtu and fortuna come in as an antidote. True virtue is consistent action, not moral perfection. Fortuna favors those who act despite judgment. Better to be feared than loved. In this context means not allowing your self-esteem to become someone else's territory. Those who build their own loyal armies accept correction but reject disguised humiliation. When you stop reacting emotionally to constructive criticism, the moral assassin loses traction. And, curiously, by removing this power, another type emerges. Colder, more ambiguous, one who never criticizes, never defends, only observes from atop the fence while the game unfolds. He never attacks you directly, nor does he defend you. He lives in the comfortable territory of "I don't get involved," of "I prefer not to choose sides," of "I want peace with everyone." At first glance, it seems like maturity, but in practice, it's calculation. The neutral saboteur understands that politics guided by reality, not by ideals, rewards those who keep doors open, including with those who have already hurt you. He witnesses betrayal, attack, injustice, and responds with elegant silence. He uses the appearance of virtue of neutrality to avoid paying any price. The end justifies the means when the objective is self-preservation. And while you expose yourself, take a stand, and risk yourself, he reaps benefits from both sides of the conflict without ever getting his hands dirty. This profile appears frequently when there's a power struggle. It's the mutual friend who continues to associate with the person who wronged you. It's the colleague who witnessed the betrayal but says, "I don't know what happened." It's the partner who prefers not to get involved so as not to lose advantages. Decisions based on real human nature reveal something unsettling. Neutrality in moral conflicts almost always favors the aggressor. A simple test reveals this type. Observe if they act quickly to protect their own interests, but are slow when it comes to justice or loyalty. Machiavelli already warned that avoiding being hated cannot cost you your position. Those who want to build their own loyal armies understand that at certain times, not choosing is choosing against yourself. The danger of the neutral saboteur is structural. It weakens alliances, dissolves trust, and creates environments where no one feels safe. Here, being feared rather than loved means making it clear that ambiguity has a cost. People respect those who demand clarity. Calculated use of force, in this case, means redefining access. Less proximity, less information, less importance. When you stop treating the neutral as an ally, they reveal themselves or distance themselves. And it is precisely in this distancing that the last type emerges, perhaps the most disturbing of all. The one who doesn't just want your resources, your attention, or your position. They want to be you. At first, he admires. He observes silently, praises discreetly, asks too many questions. It seems like respect, perhaps inspiration, but it isn't. The envious imitator doesn't want to learn. He wants to absorb. He studies your gestures, your ideas, your language, your decisions. He copies your way of speaking, replicates projects, imitates your positions. Machiavelli already warned that politics guided by reality, not by ideals, requires attention to those who observe more than act. This type understands that creating from scratch requires virtue. While copying seems faster, he uses the appearance of virtue through admiration to get closer. But the real driving force is silent envy. The end justifies the means when the goal is to occupy the space you've built. And while you continue to advance, he tries to wear your identity as if it were a costume. In practice, this appears in competitive and creative environments. It's the colleague who launches something too similar to your project. It's the acquaintance who starts talking exactly like you. It's the person who adopts your ideas as if they were their own, without reference, without context. Decisions based on real human nature show that envy rarely declares itself. It disguises itself as coincidence. A good antidote here is constant movement. Those who practice constant adaptability cannot be easily replaced because they are always one step ahead. Furthermore, protecting what goes on behind the scenes is essential. Share results, not processes. Show the stage, not the rehearsals. Machiavelli taught that the calculated use of force is also access control. The critical moment occurs when the imitator tries to surpass you. He begins to compete, to discredit, to insinuate that he has always been there. This is where the logic of being better feared than loved comes in, not allowing confusion of authorship, not tolerating invasion of territory. Avoiding being hated does not mean accepting erasure. People who build their own loyal armies leave clear marks of identity, values, and positioning. When you consistently uphold who you are, the imitator short-circuits because he has no center, only a reflection. And when all these profiles are seen together, something becomes clear. Machiavelli was not talking about rare monsters, but about common human patterns that span centuries and continue to haunt those who do not learn to see the game. Now, the question is no longer whether these people exist, it's how many of them have passed through your life without you realizing it. How many times have you called friendship what was actually self-interest? How many times have you confused neutrality with character? How many decisions have you made trying to be understood when you should have been strategically respected? Machiavelli never spoke of paranoia, but of lucidity. Decisions based on real human nature require courage to see what is uncomfortable and maturity to act without guilt. Because the real mistake is not finding toxic people, it's continuing to offer them access after recognizing the pattern. The knowledge you've acquired here isn't for changing others, it's for changing your own stance. It's through the calculated use of force, constant adaptability, and building your own loyal armies that you cease to be predictable. Start small. Reduce explanations, limit favors, control information, observe reactions when you say no. The end justifies the means when the means is preserving your autonomy, your clarity, and your trajectory. And remember, better to be feared than loved doesn't mean intimidation. It means not being manipulable. Always, of course, knowing how to avoid being hated. If this content made you reconsider people, situations, or decisions, it has already served its purpose. Now, I want to know, which of these types did you recognize first? And even more importantly, what will you do differently from today onwards? Leave that in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and keep following. Because in the next videos, the conversation will get even deeper, less about theory, and more about how to play the game with awareness, strategy, and silent power.